All right, kids. Buck will be with us in a matter of seconds. I hope you're all having a fun Wednesday before Turkey Day. Gobble, gobble. Buck's got 40 minutes. I'll stand around for a little bit. Then I'm going to go to the exercise house, which will be fun. And I want to get Buck on here so I could talk about sheath underwear, which is an underwear I am currently wearing. And that is it. Where's this big-headed Boomer Khan at? He's got an Easter Island head. Well, actually, while we wait for Buck, I am going to now I want to show him the underwear. I want to see his reaction. I've got some other exciting news coming up. And I can't tell you what it is, but it's really, really awesomely outrageous. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Smash that like button because that helps the algorithm so we can get more people coming in here. Can you flip your eyelids inside out? Probably. Hey, buddy, how have you been? Not too shabby. I'm actually having a great, great week. I got all the caviar in. If you didn't see my Instagram for the caviar tasting, there's 15 different kinds of caviar. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I just got the snail. I went to get the snail caviar wearing my cashmere denim, and I really felt like I'd made it as an immigrant. I'm like, oh, okay, we've done it. There he is. Hey, Buck.
Hey, man, how are you?
We got a lot of people here, 370 so far.
Whoa.
Yeah, so like I wanted
2 or 3 guys, hanging out. But
I should put my headphones on, huh?
Should I put mine on? I feel like it looks so nerdy. Do you want me to put
No, you look fine. Do you know what, Buck? I want to tell you about our sponsor for this podcast, for this live stream.
Please do.
It's Sheath Underwear. And the thing about Sheath Underwear, if you use code Malice20, get 20% off. It is underwear with a pouch for your genitals, which makes them more comfortable. It was designed by an Iraqi war vet because things get hot over there. So I love promoting this because it's a small business who are making it happen, and I wear their product every day. So sheathunderwear.com. I'm guessing XL for you. They did children.
Whoa, hey. Whoa.
They did children's sizes just for me. They gave me a youth medium.
I mean,
girls.
I would say COVID with the gym lockdown. I'm definitely. Someone sent me a photo of me in college from I had a fat year in college where I just went I didn't care. I had a girlfriend who cared about what was internal. She thought I was a cuddly bear, and I got a photo sent from a friend of mine going through her old albums, and I was like, I better turn things around or I'm heading back there. So that's kind of how it feels. Yeah.
Oh well, I know you're gonna be gobbling it up tomorrow, as everyone should.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I'm going to be with family members. I'm not going to hide under the bed like that people are telling us to do. Because here's the thing, Mike. If I actually believed that the people that are telling us all to cancel Thanksgiving were really willing to cancel their own Thanksgivings, doesn't count if they've already been caught and they've already been shamed for it. And so the Cuomo thing, no, he was going to do it. If I actually thought that they would stop, I would listen to them. But because they won't, I know that they're full of it.
It's like when your partner cheats on you, you know what I mean? And you forgive them and they're like, well, I won't do it again. And then they do it again. It's like we've done this. We had these lockdowns. If it worked, we all said it's coming second wave. It's summering in the southern hemisphere. It's going to come back. We were talking about this in March. Yeah. Now it's happened. They're like, well, the thing that didn't work the first time, which caused a lot of suffering, we're going to have you all do it again. You should be in jail. So, okay. So here we have from Greg he's from a shithole country. He says bot caviar, unique cashmere denim. He's spelling cashmere crazily, and U.S. military holding your balls, the Russian dream. Also be careful speaking Mr. Sexton. The CIA might hear you. I don't see.
Someone said Sagar replaced this guy. I handpicked Sagar to take over.
No. You only read the super chats. Don't acknowledge the plebs. I missed the Tom Woods one. Can you get him to go in hot water talk about COVID? I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't feel like Tom Woods would be a good fit.
Throttled, by the way, by all the social platforms for sharing either opinion or fact that they don't like over COVID. And I know that I'm right. I mean, I made a joke, I think 2 months ago on Twitter about how just wait, they're going to say that the masks aren't good enough, that's the problem. And now the guy, Scott Gottlieb, the ex-FDA person, FDA chief, he said, I think it was 2 days ago, we really probably need those N95 masks. Now, why would I know that they're going to say the masks aren't good enough? They did pretty extensive testing with influenza and also for measles, which is highly, highly contagious. And those studies showed that unless you have a properly fitted N95 mask, what you're doing is the little cloth thing they wear in a surgery room doesn't do anything. That's what those studies showed. But if you tell anybody that, you're a bad person. This is actual science.
Okay, serious question. How far have you gone on a scale from 1 to Alex Jones in terms of a lot of this is some very bad people using us as guinea pigs to figure out the limits of our compliance?
Oh no, I think that this is being used to remake it. It's like a stress test for us, but the purpose is to just keep turning up the stress. It's not to see if we can withstand it. It's to see how far they can keep pushing it, because there's now no excuse. I mean, you pointed out that we're doing this lockdown thing again. Here's my question for everybody that says, okay, Buck, stay home for Thanksgiving. Why won't you do this? Do they think that we're not going to stay home after that? Do they think that Christmas is going to be okay this year? Or, what they're really telling you to do is every 2 weeks, they're going to say, oh, we have to do this one. Oh, we need another lockdown. We need another. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse. It never actually gets better with all these things they do. Does anybody not realize that? They can't stop it. That's the problem. That's where I am on all this. So I'm pretty close to Alex Jones, if that's what he's saying. I don't know what he's saying, but.
Yeah. Can you ask Buck the story behind his leaving Rising and choosing Sagar?
Yeah, sure. It's really easy. So that was actually it was a really cool experience to be there. Crystal Ball is a committed, I mean, I don't think she would self-describe as a Marxist, but she's like a Bernie Sanders lib. I mean, she's not your sort of DNC person. I like Crystal a lot. I think she's one of the better Democrats out there in terms of actually being solid.
Do you know who this is? Lex Friedman. Do you know him?
No, who's that?
MIT AI researcher, and I think he just called you a homophobic slur, if I speak binary correctly. Anyway, go ahead.
Why would he call me a homophobic slur?
It's a joke. It was binary, so that was okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. This is like when you made the joke on, I'll never forget this. You put me in the little tiny chair. I don't know why I like this guy, guys. All he does, everyone else is like very deferential and respectful to me all the time, honestly. And then I hang out with Malice, and it's just like jokes that I don't get. And it's like I'm like his big dumb friend in the classroom that he's like likes to hang out with, but he's like putting little signs on my back, and I'm like, why are you doing
it's like Moose from Archie Comics.
It's like, why? I don't know why I put up with this stuff.
Buck, anyway. Are we gonna do our own remake of Mice and Men?
Oh my god.
Buck Lenny Sexton.
I mean, here he is. He's a fierce little fellow. This Michael, he's fierce. Okay, so
someone asked
pretty. So Joe Rogan actually asked about this too on his show, and Crystal answered him. But I mean, I'll give you a better answer. I got an opportunity to take the biggest single radio station in the country, but I had to be in New York because they insisted. And I was like, I got to go because radio was my main gig and The Hill was kind of my secondary gig. But that was it. And then if you're asking for like a little more behind the scenes, it's very, very tiring to have a conversation across partisan lines every day, first thing in the morning. It's very, very challenging. So that's people who think they can do it. They don't actually really do it on shows where they say they're doing it usually.
Especially when I'm sure a lot of it's like the same talking points. And like, we just discussed this, you're not telling the truth. Trump didn't say they're good people on both sides about the Klan in Charlottesville. Stop saying this. Like, we already went through that.
So I do a show now. It's once a week, which is way easier. I do a show now with Mark Lamont Hill. Do you know Mark Lamont Hill, Michael?
I know the name for some reason.
So he's a very, I like Mark. He's a very smart guy. He's a Black Democrat and professor. I'm just trying to give you some of the profile here. He was at CNN, and he kind of departed from CNN because of some comments he made about Palestine, which was very interesting. But we do a show every week, and I departed CNN too of my own volition. I left them because they're lunatic corporate media psychopaths. But we do a show once a week, and it's like if you and I, we agree on some things, not on everything, but if you and I actually disagreed on most things, but still had like a cordial conversation, that's the show that we try to do once a week. So far, it's actually doing very well. We had Candace Owens on last week. I'm just saying that people like it. I'm saying people like it. It's a good show. It's on quakemedia.com/buck. If you guys want to check that one out.
I'll add that to the links. Okay, we got a question. They'll always blame Trump and Trump supporters for having increased the oppression. The good old Trump made me do it. That's gonna lose its muster really quick because George W. Bush got thrown in the garbage. And they're gonna realize there's a lot of they're not ready for 2021, in my opinion.
Oh, I don't think the Democrats understand what kind of an opposition they're actually dealing with. And I don't mean from like Mitch McConnell and all that stuff.
Right.
I mean from Trump supporters. And I still believe, and you and I talked about Kavanaugh last time I was on your show. That was a red pilling for millions of Republicans. Maybe tens of millions. I was one of them. I looked at this and I was like, okay, so these people are actually sadists with no honor or decency. And I'm talking about the Senate Judiciary Committee. Like, I'm not talking about the
dignified ones.
I'm talking about people that actually are supposed to matter. And game changer. Totally changes your perspective on American politics when you see that. Anyway,
do you see mass civil disobedience happening in responses to Biden's gun control? I think, Buck, what's your opinion?
No, you go for it.
I don't think there's going to be much. What I see happening, in all seriousness, is I think the Supreme Court is going to start moving toward striking down gun control restrictions based on the Heller decision. I think any gun control is going to be largely DOA, but I do see extreme increases of civil disobedience in 2021.
Yeah. So on the gun control issue specifically, I think that if they try an assault weapons ban I think if they try an executive order to limit sales, they might do that. If they do anything with a buyback, is just going to result in mass noncompliance, and they'll know, I think, that actually going to people's homes and trying to take their assault rifles is a very bad idea. That will not end well for people. So I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think that they'll try a new weapons. This is what they did before. It's what they did in the 90s. They'll say, you can't buy. And then we'll have this. I mean, Michael, do you remember this? After Sandy Hook, they banned them in New York State. But because of the nature of what an assault rifle actually is, it just meant that there was this new market for a New York compliant assault. So it fires the same round at the same speed, but it didn't have a folding stock. It didn't have a foregrip. There were cosmetic changes, and then you could have an assault rifle. So you see stuff like that too.
The market is much, especially in this issue, and especially because I think the gun rights people are 2 steps ahead of the legislators in terms of, okay, let's assume they're going to pass A, B, and C. If that's the case, what's the workaround? Let's get it in place now. That I think is a major problem for gun grabbers.
Well, the area that I think so people always make fun of journalists and a lot of Democrats, including gun control advocate Democrats, right? When I talk about something and I'm really passionate about how much I hate it, I usually learn about it, research it, get really deep into it, try to understand it. But for journalists and the left, guns are so icky that they almost parade their ignorance about guns.
Well, no, because they're portrayed as demonic totems in their culture.
Right. So that's what I mean. It's like they're polluted if they were to actually go to a gun range and shoot.
Right.
They'd be taking part in something that's somehow wrong. So that's why you get, USA Today with the chainsaw bayonet, and and you get these really, where people talk about, super Uzi machine bazooka pistols that need to be banned, and you're like, don't you work for a PAC that's trying to ban guns? Yeah. They don't know anything. They're ignorant of guns in a way that's beyond anything else in their ignorance.
Yeah, and proudly so. In their post-Trump depression, will the CP, who's the CP, describe themselves as soldiers coping from return to war, junkies dealing with withdrawal? I don't think that. I don't know who the CP is here.
Who are the CP?
Does he mean the Communist Party? Is he trying to be clever?
I guess.
I don't know. Okay. As someone with experience in the intelligence community, when are you joining us in anarchy? It's a real hoot.
Michael's a very good advocate for it. I will say that. When he really trashes public schools and the corporate media,
yeah,
it's pretty fantastic. So that's because I'm on board for all that. No, the intelligence community. So again, to be a critic of the intelligence community, I think it's helpful to have spent time in it, so you really know a little bit of what you're talking about. I mean, but I'll tell you this, that most of the really good people that I came across when I was there either left or wanted to leave, and the only reason they stayed was because they had family and mortgage obligations, and they felt kind of golden handcuffed. Not that it's a lot of money, but golden handcuffed to a federal paycheck. Because after a while, you kind of realize, what are we doing here? How many countries really matter? How much information we're getting about those countries really makes a difference? How much of this is just make work for bureaucrats? And the answer is most of it.
I am seeing, and this could be confirmation bias, but I don't think it is, that there is, and I thought I would never see this in my lifetime, an increased, at the very least, if not hostility, at least antipathy among conservatives toward the police. And a lot less veneration of them given what the police have been willing to do in 2020. Am I talking out of my ass, or have you experienced the same thing?
So there's always been, that's interesting. Let me think about this one aloud a little bit. There's always been this element, this libertarian element, that, I mean, I think a lot of libertarians have, some of this stuff I find annoying. I mean, we have marijuana legalization, okay, but a lot of the other stuff, it doesn't really seem like it goes anywhere, like the third party candidacies and all that. But there's always a libertarian element that says that they don't like cops. I mean, there's that guy who wrote the book some years ago. What's it? I just blanked on his name, but I know his name.
Bradley Balco?
Yes, Balco.
Rise of the Warrior Cop? Yeah,
he doesn't like cops. Right. Yeah. I mean, he's got problems with policing, but he also, it's very clear, like he actually has an antipathy toward police. He thinks cops are bad.
Yeah.
Or that there are a lot of bad cops. And I mean, to this, I would just say, this time around, my biggest problem with law enforcement is how few of them are willing to speak out about the clear political demonization of them. It shouldn't just be like Sergeants Benevolence Association spokespersons of the NYPD who are like, we do not appreciate de Blasio talking all the smack about us. It should be like a lot of them talking to the press, speaking out in ways. I mean, they could, if they want to protect their identity so they don't get fired, I understand. But I think they're a little quiet about it because, I don't know. Why do you think they're quiet about it?
We're not being treated fairly.
Oh my God.
Treat us with respect.
You stop that. Dude, cops are essential. I mean, it's funny because Mark Lamont Hill and I, bringing him up a second time here, he's an abolish the police guy, or defund the police. He's a defund the police guy. And I've really dug into that with him. And this is a little bit, and I mean, I say this to him, there's a delusion on the left that they really can do this. I mean, it's like you and I can sit here and be like, yes, there's bad cops. A lot of cops are lazy. Cops can use excessive force. There's a lot of stuff, right? A lot of things that people get in much more trouble for than I think they should. But ultimately, man, if the NYPD if they walked off the job entirely, stuff would get really dicey in New York City very fast. There would be very bad people doing very bad things.
Do you know it would get dicey in New York because of the police. It's because of the police that I'm unsafe in my home, that I have to rely on my safety, not on my Second Amendment rights, which are guaranteed to me by the Constitution, not granted, because there's an army of these government union employees who should be treated with contempt at the very least, keeping me unarmed in my own home. So you're right. In the short term, that would be a complete disaster, but they're the ones to blame for this disaster.
Well, so hold on. So what's the anarchist view of, let's say let's say Malice. I don't know if you rock a Rollie, if you're a Rolex guy or something, but
no, my wrists are too thin. They're too bright.
I don't even wear a watch. But let's say you're a Rolex guy. You're walking down the street and some guy sees it and they're like, that's a $30,000 watch, which isn't even a very expensive Rolex. And, I'm going to club Michael over the head with a baseball bat and take his watch. Now, even if you have a weapon on you, you've been clubbed, you're knocked out, he takes your watch. Okay, well, if we all have guns, what like are you? Is it then upon you to go find this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what happens then?
Well, first of all, he wouldn't be allowed on that street to begin with because you'd have private streets. But if you had public streets, first of all, you would have severe consequences for theft. It wouldn't be this kind of slap on the wrist stuff. There'd be plenty of people who would have guns to draw to make sure he can't run. If you see someone screaming, this guy took my, like an old lady with a purse right now. If you saw someone running and she's screaming, he took my purse, Good Samaritans would make sure he stops running and we resolve the situation. So it's only because the government is in charge of public spaces that these scenarios are even capable to begin with. Imagine this, you wouldn't have this in a movie theater. You wouldn't have this in a bar or a hotel. A movie theater is full of strangers. A hotel is full of strangers, not even local to that area. And this scenario would never happen. It's only in places where the government's in charge of security where this is even plausible. This is a great question. Happy Thanksgiving to you. What genuinely positive thing are each of you thankful for? I'll tell you 3 off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I am not ironic, not sarcastic. I am ecstatic that I live in this country. I am extremely thankful by how much support I have from friends and family and followers, which I did not have at all growing up. So it's a very big mind game to have it as an adult. And I am also thankful that I have more career opportunities than I know what to do with. And it's all things that when you enjoy your work, it becomes every day's a vacation. That's my 3 things.
So I would say I'm thankful, and if we're going to make it kind of specific to this period of time, I have a, and this, I know this sounds corny, guys. I'm sorry. I have a great family. I've got my brothers. Actually, I'm going out to dinner.
Wait, I got to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I despise how there's so much pressure in our culture that if people are earnestly happy, they have to apologize for it or have an asterisk or say it's corny. And I think this is by design by corporate media to keep people to have their misery become normalized. And I fight it with every tooth and nail that I have.
Yeah, I try to tell people all the time that of all the things that I had, and I grew up in a wealthy neighborhood in New York City. I got a scholarship, but I went to private school, went to high school on a scholarship, and then went to a kind of a fanciest college and all this stuff. And when people ask me what's the biggest, when I tell people this on radio, listen to me, I said, what the biggest advantage that I had was really good parents who were there and who gave a crap. Biggest advantage I have, because I had friends who were families worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I actually knew some billionaires growing up too. But if their parents don't care, they're not present, they treat them poorly, they undermine them. They spend all their lives in therapy and taking pills to help them get through the day and taking pills to help them, get busy. I mean, they got problems, a lot of problems. So I had great parents and really great siblings. And that's the single biggest, because everything else, other things, if you have your health and a good family, you can pretty much work through and fix and at least improve, if not fix, everything else. But I think that's the foundation for a lot of things. So anyway, I'm very thankful for that. And then a little bit of something you said with the professional opportunities and all that. I'm getting closer and closer to autonomy, not just with autonomy with my content and with what I do, and understanding how to get away from. I'm happy to partner with corporations and happy to partner with radio stations, all these things. But I want it to be, I work for the audience and I partner with people to either sell their products or be on their platform. I don't want this, you show up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you sit at this desk until your show, even, I'm talking about even in media, you do what we say, getting away from that as fast as I can.
Yeah, and it's never been a better time. We got a message for Lex. That's really cool. Love your guitar playing. You have many talents. Not for you, it's for Lex Friedman, who's in the company. He's a very prominent podcaster.
So he's so good at guitar, I got a special treat. Hold on a second.
Oh, God help us.
Mr. Guitar Man. Okay.
Just when you thought he wasn't white enough. Have you ever read Dave Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest? I have not. Buck, have you read this one, Infinite Jest?
No, I've heard of it. It sounds like the kind of book that
What an abomination. I love her so much.
She's not. She's the most beautiful thing in the world.
What a crime against nature.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I shouldn't exist.
She has this mangy tooth.
I know.
Every year it keeps pointing further and further out.
Imagine if
can opener.
Yeah. What was this? Hold on. Number one gun in the small arms black market is the full auto AK. Open the border and outlaw guns. Please, Mr. Biden, don't throw me in that briar patch. I don't know. Do you understand this?
No.
Okay.
We got another. Is that name Cersei?
I don't think that's the witch is CIRS. This sounds Irish or something.
Yeah, I think that's like an Irish spelling of Cersei.
Oh.
Yeah.
Will Trump's defeat lead to a return to the status quo or things forever change? Oh, this is an easy one. Buck?
Oh, no, things are forever changed, for sure. People, I mean, whether Trump builds a network or runs again or whatever, and that's, I think, there's a part of the Democrat mindset right now, or part of the Democrat party that's understanding that they're going to have their hands full with people who are just like, nah, we're not going to do it the old way anymore. What do you think?
Yeah. Trump taught the right that they could win, and he taught them that even if they don't win, they're going to have fun fighting. How do you unteach people that? You can't unring that bell.
So I'm going to tell you, this is the truth is that Trump made being part of the Trump movement fun. And also there's been this whole, kind of MAGA culture. And I know that all the people who like work for Rolling Stone and all this will say, oh, you guys are still a bunch of weirdos and hillbillies. And yeah, whatever. There are particularly a lot of very beautiful female, like Trump influencers who have built huge followings, and they bring younger people on board too. There's this, I mean, if you went down to the Trump Hotel, for example, in DC, which was a gathering point in DC when Trump was, in his heyday there, you would see all these people and you'd just be like, so these are the people these are actually like the fun people that I want to hang out with, and they're happy warriors. The problem with these libs who watch MSNBC and all this stuff is they're miserable. They're miserable. And they have this hole in their soul, which is why they want to control everyone else and belittle people who don't agree with them all the time. I know, she's
makes me happy. Please kill me. Please kill me.
She doesn't like the bright lights. She was napping, and I made her come over here. You can tell her eyes. She's like, oh.
If like, Michael would threaten, he'd use his McNukes. Amen, brother. Okay, we got another one from these are going too fast. Hold on. Guys, I'm a boomer. Leave me alone. Thank you.
How many people are in here, by the way?
We got 2,000. Thank you for creating sincere and thoughtful content. You've opened my eye. Well, it's obviously for me, not for you, Buck. You've opened my eyes to new ways of thought. I really enjoy seeing you on JRE, Lex Friedman, you misspelled his name, and Tim Pool. I'm happy I finally get to donate. Well, that's very, very nice of you. Purples. Gavin McIngus says, the cops enforce church closures, red flag laws with no objection. Sorry, hard pass on supporting them. That's amen from me, brother.
Well, there are a lot of cops, to be fair. There are a lot of sheriffs who actually have said and have refused to enforce some of that stuff. So I think you got to be fair about not all of them are, that. Just saying it.
If you take a young person.
I'm sorry. She wants to go. She's had enough.
If you take a young person and arrest them for using or selling drugs, where they will 100% be traumatized, almost certainly be raped, I have no sympathy for you as a human being.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should go to jail for possession of drugs or using
including heroin. If someone's a junkie and you're locking them in a cage to go through withdrawal with rapists and murderers, you are part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a problem with people selling fentanyl and that stuff because
100%
the reality. I mean, I'll say that if people were selling aspirin that could kill you at the percentage rate that fentanyl would, I'd say throw that person in prison too, right? Like it's actually about the risk that they're putting people through because, I mean, I've actually spent a lot of time studying the cartels and spent time at the southern border, and they will intentionally, for example, cut the fentanyl down and use, Drano cleaner, stuff that you would never want to ingest. They'll cut it and then they'll put an imprint on it so it actually looks like pharmaceutical grade stuff and sell that to people. But one of the reasons why the OD rate is so high, because the stuff you're getting, you think it's from Purdue, right? That was the big, you think it's from Purdue Pharma or whatever. Not anymore though, but it's actually from some giant vat in a central province of Mexico, central state of Mexico.
We got 10 more minutes with Buck. Are you curious on your take on change to the ATF and FBI with drug legalization and 3D printing for firearms?
Well, the thing about the 3D printing thing, I understand the theory behind why it's such a game changer, but I also would say there's so many guns in circulation right now. The 3D printing is almost like, why? I just go get one. I mean, it's really
it's untraceable.
Oh, from that perspective, I thought you meant in terms of sales and breaking down gun restrictions that way. Yeah, I mean the thing about having an untraceable firearm is, if you're caught with it, obviously you're going to get in a lot of trouble right now. So I think that slows down the production of them. It's the receiver, right? That's serialized, and that there's one part.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I forget. I mean, I know more than lib journos about this stuff, but I'm not like a super. There are people that know firearms, and then there are gun guys.
Oh yeah.
Gun guys are a whole other. I am not a gun guy. I'm a guy who knows something about firearms. But yeah, 3D printing. I actually haven't seen it. Didn't they do like a heart valve for somebody with a 3D printer last year? It's like
yes, it's amazing what they can do
now.
now.
Like crazy stuff. Yeah, honestly, I don't know that much about it. And ever since, can I just go on a little quick rant about something crazy for a second? So I sat at this huge presentation in Vegas, not this fall, last fall, and the whole thing was just these guys, and all they do is they're investors, and they're making this presentation to this room of 600 people about how Elon Musk is toast. Tesla the stock is dead. The Ford is going to make vehicles that are electric, this whole thing. And you watch this and you thought to yourself, okay, Elon, I almost thought, I was like, maybe I should short the stock. I thought maybe I should get into this. And of course, we all know what's happened now. Elon is the third richest person in the world right now, something like that. And I'm just bringing it up because it's a reminder that, you can know about stuff that's different than knowing stuff. And like, I don't know 3D printers, so I can kind of think about the policy implications a little, just the same way I don't really know the electric car market. You know what I mean? And neither of those guys, by the way, they got their asses handed to them. They went against it, and it was not smart.
Obama said he did the drone strikes, military intervention, because he didn't want to look soft. Do you think he's being truthful, or is another reason he was so hawkish? I discussed this at length with Glenn Greenwald on my show this week, so you might want to watch that interview.
Glenn's funny. I don't really know Glenn. I think he does really interesting work. I think he's wrong on some stuff, but he's actually legitimately brave and principled.
Yeah.
On how he does this stuff. But is he a prickly fellow, or is he not?
No, I got on with him you're not going to out prickly me, so that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, no, you're like a little high IQ porcupine, or maybe a hedgehog because it's smaller.
I was going to say hedgehog because they're native to Russia, but yeah.
There you go. You can't have them in New York City.
I know. Trust me, I know.
New York City is so restricted. Why can't you have I think, you can have all these different little dogs, but you can't have I don't know. Ferret.
It's the size of like a softball. They're captive bred. They're not being taken from nature.
Yeah. Ferret is the third most popular warm-blooded pet I know after dog and cat. So a lot of people have ferrets, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I did see I'm not a ferret person. I did see for the first time during the lockdown, actually, a raccoon in Central Park in broad daylight. And at first I was like, because people always say it's rabbit, but rabies is actually very uncommon in America. This is rabies has been largely eradicated in this country. It's really hard to find rabid animals here, which is a good thing, of course. But do you remember The Office where they do the rabies run, to find the cure for rabies?
No.
Oh my God, it's a great episode. But anyway, but people always think that about the raccoon, and it wandered out in broad daylight and went up to tourists, a couple of, they were Asian tourists, and they fed it by hand. And I have photos of this. This is amazing. I was like, this is a Central Park raccoon, and you're feeding it like it's, they just weren't, because clearly other people had done this.
Wait, why are you surprised by this? I don't understand.
It's a raccoon, man. It's a scary little thing.
They're very intelligent and friendly.
Really?
Oh, very, extremely. Oh,
yeah. See, I think raccoons have gotten a bad rap. I think it's a little bit like, some of the other, people actually know. I think that pigs are really smart, but unfortunately they're delicious.
Wait, you wouldn't feed like a street dog that came up to you in a very friendly manner?
No, a dog I would. That's great. I feel like maybe I'm just I've been brainwashed to think that raccoons are dangerous or bad, right?
No, they're really smart, and they don't run because they know you're not really going to chase them, so they'll like back away, but they're like, okay, this.
Yeah, you had enough. Yeah, is this game? Are you done? Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know are you on TikTok, by the way? I'm just getting into TikTok. I'm doing. I know it's like Chinese, spying or whatever, but they already have they actually have my OPM file. I got notified, so they have all my stuff. Doesn't really matter to me at this point. There's a beaver on TikTok. Someone has a pet beaver on TikTok. That is amazing. It's their
I think they call that a WAP.
See, this is the stuff.
American in the UK dating a Brit.
Sorry,
Codified individual rights here. Citizenly defeated, apathetic. Tweets can get you arrested. Careful, US is next. You are way wrong, and I will prove to you that you're wrong in my next book. And I will address.
In what way is the person wrong? I'm curious. How are they wrong?
Because this is what they would have said in 1978 also.
Meaning what?
Britain's over. We're done. Managed decline. Winter of our discontent. Garbage 6 feet in the streets. They didn't have electricity. And then Thatcher came along. So there's a lot of ruin in a nation, they say. And if you've given up on the West, you are way, 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 way off.
I got it. The dog wants to be put up on the couch. Okay. She whines until she can jump up onto things, but she actually will whine until I lift her up like a little baby. So I have to go. Whenever she wants to go up on the couch, I lift her up. Wants to get up in the bed, I lift her up. A very spoiled animal.
So we got another one from Greg from Canada. He says, you skipped it again. I'm okay with that. What's your expectation of increasing tension and war with a Biden presidency? That's my biggest concern.
So I think that people are forgetting, and I worked at the Council on Foreign Relations. Alex Jones, Council on Foreign Relations. I worked at the Council on Foreign Relations. I worked at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. I spent some time at AEI. So I've been at some of these places where you are just immersed in the kind of, it's amorphous but understood foreign policy consensus. I mean, if you ask people, you get different versions of it, but you know what the general boundaries of what the acceptable foreign policy consensus is. There's some variation within it, so it gives the appearance of debate and discussion, but it's not. It's kind of like Coke, Pepsi. I mean, who cares? Same thing. And I think that people underestimate how much that was a bipartisan failing. It's something on the right that we haven't even really confronted. We should all be very clear that when we say the Iraq War, as a Republican, as a conservative, you should be able to say the Iraq War was a bad idea, and not feel like anyone's going to say, "What do you mean?" No, not some tribalism political thing here. The Iraq War was a bad idea. I think Afghanistan was necessary, but even Ron Paul voted for Afghanistan. Like if you look at what happened with the Afghan invasion initially, there are dudes who were planning things to topple our buildings and run planes into us. We got to go kill them, and we did. But Iraq, and so yes, I'm very concerned. And remember, it'll always be. With Democrats, it's always on pseudo-humanitarian grounds, even though there are usually a lot of other interests, economic interests, energy interests, and so on that enter into it. So I think, Michael, I think that's a very real concern.
That's my biggest concern. Okay, last question for Buck. Have you considered going off grid? I teach it. I have zero interest in this. I don't even know how to drive a car.
Yeah, no, I'm an indoor cat. I like making my own lattes, and I like an indoor gym that I don't even have to leave my building to get to. I'm not
apparently you don't like that gym as much as you claim, Buck.
Well, it's been shut down, Michael, so it's not really my fault. How about that?
How about
that? Catch me outside, Malice. How about that? So yeah, man.
As long as it's downstairs, right, Chucky? Have fun. Buck's off to dinner with his folks.
Yeah, man. I gotta go with the fam.
Have a great time.
I want to join. Can we do this with 2 people, by the way? Because I want to throw in like a 3rd person in the mix here sometime. Can we do that?
Yes. Let's email me tonight. We'll schedule that immediately. And I want to be on with Mark talking about which one of us hates the cops more.
You're coming on the Mark Lamont Hill show. We call it What Do You Really Think? So that's really the idea. What do you really think is the whole purpose of the show? Come on that show with us. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, make it happen. Okay,
talk soon. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Take care.
Okay, Buck is signing out. I'll stay on here for another 15 or so minutes. That was a lot of fun. Buck's a great, great dude. I really enjoy talking to him and his company. I hope the sound quality is better now that Randy sent me this mic box thing and Greg helped me set it up. I also have all this nice new lights and stuff that I haven't even opened the box that Greg sent me. So thank you to Greg. I got to get that together. Excuse me. Whew. I am. Let me give you guys an update on the book. How far into it I am. It's been glacial. It's been glacial. I don't even know where all the time goes, and I don't know how I used to do Nightshade. It's just I am 31.5 thousand words. So it's about 105 pages. So we're about halfway done, or close to halfway done. 40% of the way done. Please do smash that like button. Does altruism and the end of human suffering ultimately end in genetic engineering? Cancer and IQ being a couple of the main targets. I don't know what you mean in reference to altruism here, but I discussed this in the New Right that we all practice eugenics on a regular basis. It just doesn't use that name. You have prenatal testing for all sorts of diseases. So, yeah, I think this would be a very good example, and I agree that it is a slippery slope once you start genetically engineering, the fetus or whatever, or the sperm or the eggs. But I also think this is something that's going to be somewhat inevitable. So that's my 2 cents on that. I gotta see. Should I? Thinking about what to do for. I was gonna do this whole bit about. I still want to do a show where I talk about my experiences with Tim and Alex. If you didn't live in New York, would you be a gun owner? Yeah, this is one of the worst things about being a New Yorker. Not even a question. In Infinite Jest, The MacGuffin is a movie that is so entertaining you'll do nothing but watch it and die of dehydration. Yeah. I got you. I feel like if you talk with Buck about cops for a good 30 minutes, you would change his mind. Well, I guess we'll see on his show. Looking especially hot tonight. It's the sheath underwear. Biden campaign floating gun taxes. Is this a path to repossession through tax forfeiture? They're going to try to do whatever little backdoors they can. I think if there's all a Republican Senate, you forget, if it's 50-50, 50 Senate Republicans, 50 Democrats, you have Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin is not a gun nut person, a gun grabber at all. Like, he is, the way Republicans think about Mitt Romney, I think Manchin's even worse for the Democrats in terms of how quick he is to flip. So that is really going to be a situation that they're not ready for. And I look forward to it. So that is that. Second. I'm surprised we had this many people on the night before Thanksgiving. I'm happy about that. We got a super sticker from Weston. That's very nice of you. Thank you. So there is that. Do I have all these? Did I catch up with all these? Sorry if I didn't get to some of your chats with Buck. This interface isn't everything that it should be. Can we pay extra for signed copies of the White Pill? Why don't we just worry about getting it done first? So that's my biggest concern. And this graphic novel, which I have to get going. So much work, but it's good problems to have. Have you ever added someone you admired on Twitter and they came at you for your politics? Not once. So I'm waiting for that. I actually have had very few. I have said this many times, knock on wood. I have had very few people come for me on Twitter. And if they're going to come for me, they're going to do it in their stupid EXEs like, oh, you're a Trump supporter. And then they're only embarrassing themselves. So, yeah. God, I tweeted this out yesterday. I would do anything to just go to some, like horrible, not horrible, but like a decent like nightclub and just listen to music till 5 a.m. This has got to stop. This has got to stop. I'm pre-making a bunch of stuff before hosting tomorrow, so you're accompanying me in the kitchen. Well, that's nice, young lady. It's good to hear. Favorite Thanksgiving main dish? I am a big turkey fan. I'm not a big ham fan in that context. I like mashed potatoes a lot, like with garlic. Like that's I would love is a real fun one for me. And also, I got to tell you, stovetop stuffing is really good. Like really, really, really good. So yeah, that's gonna be that. God, I'm scared. I'm not gonna be able to go to Russia with Chris in July. So, will the book be written by the end of the year? No. No. Unfortunately, I gotta schedule the caviar tasting. Get the calendar open. Figure out when's a good time to do it. I'll do it next week, maybe Wednesday, Tuesday. We'll figure it out. Okay. Can you tell the story behind the knock knock jokes with Alex Jones? I loved it. Sure. So I knew it would be. It worked. I was doing it on several levels. One is it's always good to have misdirection. So by building up to that building 7 joke, by having a series of kind of inane knock knock jokes, I knew people wouldn't see it coming. I also had a Sandy Hook one after the building 7, depending on how things were going with Alex, which I chose not to go into. I also knew that it's the kind of thing where people who are fans of mine would be like, oh my God, this is why I love Michael Malice. Like, who else would think to do something like this? And it would also be off-putting to more kind of normies who were like, why is he doing this? This is just like, if it's something's weird to many normies, they find it off-putting and bad because they don't know where to kind of process it. And I do enjoy alienating those people. So those are like the levels it was working on. Plus, I knew it would be a good mechanism to kind of recalibrate the conversation if it got out of control. So those were the techniques I had behind it. Do you think the Trump campaign will give a smooth transition given how they were treated in 2016? Absolutely. Learned today in Shitnadia that we have a limit of 8 for Christmas and a maximum of 2 events for the entire 2-week period. Welcome to the Soviet Union. I've got a bunch of, like, I was talking to Michaela Peterson yesterday. Like, I wanted to go up to see her. I got another person I'm friends with in Canada besides Greg. With Trump losing with Google, with goggle bias, COVID, economy riot, and voter fraud pile-on, is it worth it for increased number of regular folks getting red-pilled? Trump was never going to save you. There are so many positive outcomes of a Biden presidency for if you were a conservative, which I am not. And if you can't sit down and figure out what those are, I'm not saying you, David, specifically, then you are not seeing politics objectively. Let me give you one example that's off my head. If you had sat down in 92 and said, Bill Clinton will give you a balanced budget, you would be looked at as a crazy person by many people. But that ended up happening. And then you could hand wave it all you want. But it's like, well, if it was obvious in retrospect, you know, it's politics, you don't like what you want and then vote your way toward it. It's not how it works. If you were an actual fascist like Mussolini, I can't even imagine, and you want to maximize the chance of gaining power in the U.S., would you run as a Democrat or Republican? I mean, it would depend on my geographical. I would just strictly come down to geography. I think it would be easier to get over as a fascist as a Democrat, because if you're preaching militarism and you know, nationalism, no one's going to attack you from the right. Okay, Flip. Lex, go back on Rogan. What about me? Don't you want me back on Rogan? I got to hear. The Saturday Night Special laws, 70s, 80s, really keeping blacks from having guns laws, and Biden's fingerprints are all over them. Yeah, I don't think this way at all. This whole Dems are the real racist thing, I think, is just has no utility and very little validity, in my opinion. It just, yeah. Just kidding, Michael. Go back on Lex's show. That in a heartbeat. I adore Lex. I'm supposed to get together with Weinstein. I was supposed to be in LA in a couple of weeks, but LA's all closed down. Thank you for helping me to break out of normie thought patterns. You are welcome. I'm glad I could do that. Trump gave a bunch of tax breaks to corporations and top 10%. Do you think Biden will change that? I am much more concerned about the sustained attack on small and medium business. This has been a very good year for corporations. Very, very, very good year. And Biden is certainly that kind of corporate Democrat. So I think that'll be an easy one for Biden to try. But that's not really my concern. Do you think these governors who locked down will actually be punished for what they've done? I unfortunately no. Is Norway a shithole country? Well, is it America? If it's not, then you have your answer. It's really not that complicated. And your prime minister's Santa Claus's wife. My name's Ernest Stonberg, whatever her name is. I'm the head of Norway. Would you like some caramels, little children? Our licorice tastes like ammonia. Yeah. Okay, I am going to... It's been a long day. What historical figure was most like Alex Jones? Ooh, that's a great question. Historical figure is most like Alex Jones. I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I think he's very unique in many ways. I don't have a good answer. Has Yarvin ever mentioned Jordan Peterson? They would be interesting side by side. If Peterson got red pilled on politics, that would be sick. I am working on it. So I am working on it. I don't know that Peterson's particularly blue pilled on politics, to be fair. Did I just do this one? Okay, wait, I think I missed one. Did I miss one? Okay. I'm going to please let us know if you go on the show with Lamont. I would love to hear him defend cops after you destroy them. Of course, all my shows that I'm going to be on, I mentioned the locals, and I know you're there, so absolutely I will. I don't think that's a I think it'll be very likely. It'll be funny because I would be coming at him from the even more anti-cop than him. So he's gonna. I don't know his work at all, so this is no disrespect to him. But I imagine him being like, "Whoa, let's hold on. You're being a little crazy here." So yeah, I mean, it seems like, and I'm talking out my ass completely, which is par for the course, that he might be coming at it from a cops are racist perspective, which is not at all my concern with the police. So I'll be very curious to hear if he's a defund the police guy, what his approach is to community policing and violent crime. I don't really know what his answer would be for that. It's just really funny because if you read Emma Goldman's boyfriend, Alexander Berkman, he wrote a book like The ABCs of Anarchism, because I wanted to hear the left anarchist perspective on the police. And his whole perspective is people commit crimes because they're desperate, they're poor, and they don't know any better. And I was like, okay, so if they weren't so poor, they wouldn't be committing crime. And I'm like, wait, but what if they do? And he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, this is a real big issue to hand away, Alex. So Sashinka. So yeah, it was very disappointing to hear him not have any kind of real mechanism to address this issue. So that was very surprising. Okay, I am going to head out. Sorry for being so. Please accept my shithole currency. Do you have any anarchist reads you would recommend? Yes. Anarchy in the Law, which is edited by Ed Stringham, is your good place to start. And that will really help you understand how you could have conflict resolution in an anarchist society. And it also is a bunch of essays. Kathy, there's lots of things to unpack there, to use a horrible expression. Happy Thanksgiving, Dr. Mike Menace. Well, thank you. It's very, very kind of you. Okay, I'm going to bounce. I have to do cardio today, which we all love, of course. And I will talk to you very soon. So I have 15 kinds of caviar in my fridge right now. Favorite what? Oh, non-Simpsons character. Okay, got it. I mean, it would probably be Mr. Burns. If I had to, just off the top of my head, it would probably be Mr. I also really like Milhouse. Like, he's really cute. He's a great character. I think those would probably be my two answers off the cuff. If there's some really minor character, I'd have to think about it. But those would really be two quick answers. Okay, I will talk to you all soon. Please have fun on low goals, and I do swear by this underwear. So it is what it is. Talk soon, guys. Thank you so much.